Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, 1977's Emmanuelle Around the World. This is part of the Black Emmanuelle series of films, and of course starring the core character, Laura Gemser. It's put out by Severin Films, and this is the back of the DVD. This is a fairly rare title now, and a title that was part of, they had two box sets that were out on the Black Emmanuelle series, volumes 1 and 2, and this one is not extremely easy to come by, but this is 1977's Emmanuelle Around the World, following the famous sexploitation free love journalist who's looking for a story and now a new set of adventures. And this film is 102 minutes long and directed again by Mr. Joe D'Amato, who did a lot of the Black Emmanuelle films, a good number of them, and a lot of people would know Joe D'Amato a lot for his horror output of Anthropomorphicus, Absurd, the unofficial sequel, or no, the sequel to that, Absurd, and even the big one, Boo Omega or Beyond the Darkness. But he did a lot of sexploitation, softcore and hardcore, and this would fall into the softcore, in between, sometimes almost hard territory, but mostly softcore. We'd definitely get an NC-17 today. Beautiful poster artwork on the front of this here, Emmanuelle Around the World. Let's get into this film. You're going to see my eyes divert above me here, as I have some notes written above that I'm going to refer to. We have Emmanuelle here, Laura Gemser, aimlessly looking for a story in this film, which is a very interesting concept because typically she's thrown into a story or seemingly thrown into a story, but here she's looking for one, and seemingly without a plan. She's using her sexuality to gain transportation, but there is a plan, starting at a hotel. We have her going undercover in this film in some very dangerous situations. We have a young biker who wants to help her. We're moving from New York to India, to Rome, to Hong Kong, to the Middle East. And yes, we're actually filming in these locations. It's unbelievable. Filming all over the world here. She's truly around the world in this film. We have a religious guru based on the Kama Sutra and withholding sexual climax to white slavery prostitution. There's love with a United Nations man, a man that you might have seen in some giallo films in the 70s, and an innocent friendship with his limo driver. A very innocent and very interesting non-sexual friendship that is quite amusing and just satisfying. We have her uniting with a blonde friend of hers for a journey into darkness, where Emmanuelle's sex is the access to secrets, and so is her cash as well, money. This is a film that takes you around the world. When you watch a Black Emmanuelle film, you know, you're watching Joe D'Amato's style. You're looking at Laura Gemser's outfits and her style and her body and her sexuality, and you are traveling. You're getting tickets around the world. You're getting to go to these exotic locations, and you can see a lot of these locations in the back of this cover, this beautiful cover art, poster art. You're getting to travel the world from the comfort of your home, and you're getting to meet interesting, weird, disturbing, fascinating people, and you're getting to see wild sexual adventures and wild eroticism and stories unfolding, mysteries being uncovered and unleashed. You're getting to see horrific, disturbing violence that erupts, and Black Emmanuelle amidst all of this, and this is a Emmanuelle Around the World. It says in the front here, X has never been so beautiful. Now, this was definitely a self-imposed X, because this would not get an X. Maybe back then it would have gotten an X. Today it would definitely get an NC-17. So let's get into this film here. First and foremost, we got another amazing score by Mr. Nico Fidenko. Nico Fidenko. We have this great kind of theme song, starts at the beginning of the movie, called Picture of Love, that really has a 70s kind of poppy contemporary rock type vibe to it. Oh, take a picture of love. Do a do 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 do. Oh, take a picture of love. It's just really, kind of has that just pure 70s. It almost sounds like it could be part of a theme song for a 70s sitcom, kind of deal. But it has that love vibe. We have exotic, mysterious Indian music. We have almost Jess Franco tropical music. You would hear sexy, soft jazz, funk, disco, lots of synthesized electro disco type music in this film as well. Lots of synth, very strong synth vibes in this film. And a lot of the music is working off of the Picture of Love song at the beginning of the movie and at the end of the movie, I believe, which works off the theme of that and the melody of that in different variations throughout the film. Now, of course, since she's going around the world, you're going to hear very worldly music. You're going to hear very exotic music. You're going to hear music that spans different countries and different atmospheres and environments. And when Joe D'Amato is filming in this movie, the interesting thing is that you can see people just, even in his Emmanuel and the White Slave Trade, you can see people around the area looking at the camera. It's almost as if, did he have permits for these films? Was this guerrilla filmmaking? It's really, really interesting. You see the kids looking at the camera. You see people walking by looking at the camera. These are my favorite movies. These are the movies you're going to see on the 10 Room Bizarre YouTube page. These are movies where people are looking at the camera from behind, which really shows this renegade type vibe to these films. Almost feels like a documentary because of that sometimes. When we look at the style, once again, we have Joe D'Amato using edited cuts without time, moving time in snippets, and trusting the wisdom of the viewer, you and I, to not have to see all the in-betweens, the cuts, but to understand what is happening as he cuts sections of time away and moves in this rapid, timeless vibe, making his own time. Again, we have shots from the ground up again. Awesome. He does these shots from the ground up, which, a lot of times I feel like they're associated with horror films, but it's so great to see them in sexploitation films. It's so great to see them in erotic films. As you see the breasts from the ground up, or the thighs, or pieces of the vagina, or just the whole body up ahead of you, or two people having sex. It's just a great vibe, and he does that once again here. We have this dark closet shots that were really, really interesting, with very, very limited lighting on purpose. Atmospheres of each country and the architecture of each country, from the center of religion to the beautiful patio overlooking Rome, to poor people, impoverished people in India looking at the camera. We have the eye of Emmanuelle and her camera, her secret ahead of the time camera, is our eye. And as she takes snapshots with her secret small tiny camera, we get the strobe of photos snapping in our screen of the movie. Joe D'Amato is definitely doing some wild things with the cutting and the editing, and I can't say that enough. It's very timeless, and he does it in Emmanuel and the White Slave Trade, which I've reviewed in this YouTube page, and also Emmanuelle Around the World. In terms of the sexuality of this film, we have full nudity in this movie. Obviously mostly women, implied, simulated, but could be real. That type of vibe. It could be. We have wild religious orgies involving huge dildos that are actually not going inside anywhere, not penetrating anywhere, but are damn explicit in the thrusting and hip movements around these religious phallic symbols, and a huge penis as well, huge phallic symbol, and all tied to religion, which is even more interesting, and the Kama Sutra. In particular, the touching of vaginas and faces up close, very up close sexual shots from Joe D'Amato in this film. Very close. At times you can't tell whose body you're looking at or what part of the body you're looking at. We do have very quick snippets of actual oral in this film, female to male, and some stuff with a banana. So very quick, hard shots. So this makes the film even more unique here, okay? We do see some labia in this film, not incredibly close up, but you can see it right there in your, in your face. We have multiple gang rapes in this film, and violent sexuality in this film, very disturbing, implied bestiality, and even a snake with milk towards a vagina. Wow, some wild, wild stuff in here. And we even have a kind of a buttercream orgy in this film that is a means of commerce, or information for Miss Black Emmanuelle. I mentioned some violence in here, and I gotta say, there's a ton of sexual violence in this movie. Very, very disturbing stuff here with rape and gang rape and things like that. And Emmanuelle and her blonde-haired friend, they really encounter some insane things. And one of the things that I would say about this series is, and you can see it in this film, is that Black Emmanuelle will go the distance, out of enjoyment. You can see she gets enjoyment, but also to her own peril to get the story. This is a film of incredible sexuality, but also incredible dark sexuality as well, and sexual violence. And we definitely have a theme in this film running of the exploration of lesbianism for females. That is definitely a theme that runs through the film, with some characters that Black Emmanuelle meets. And Laura Gemser has such an exotic and sexual vibe about her that even if you're not, if she's not, even if you're not physically attracted to her, or as I've spoken to some people have said, she's kind of skinny for them, or things like that. But that you can't deny her presence, and you can't deny the sexuality of her presence, and the mystery of her presence, and the innocence of her presence, even amidst very adult behaviors, not innocent behaviors. She's fantastic, and nobody else could have done these roles except for her. This is Emmanuelle Around the World, 1977. And thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like Emmanuelle Around the World. Thank you so much, and good night.